All right. Hello, Northwest Indiana and the fans of the Nicole and Craig show.
Hey, at least he sounds like a boxer instead of Harry Carey, which is what he normally sounds like all the time.
All right.
No, that does not mean start it.
So here's what we want to know. Here's what we're asking listing agents all the time right now. Did you get my offer?
That's what the show's about today.
Yeah, just tell me if you got it. Tell me you received it. By the way,
is it rejected? Is it accepted? Tell me.
Yeah, we want some kind of communication, right? Are you going to get it? I don't know. Well, here's a couple things to keep in mind. One, it could be construed as an ethics violation to not respond to an agent. Now, there are some caveats, how long the time goes and stuff like that. No, because I didn't write down what standard and practice it was that covers it, but it is just in checking there. Check with your managing broker. They can tell you and stuff like that. But, so here's what we're saying. The market's moving so fast right now. It's a frenzy. When a property hits the market and it's priced well, there's going to be a lot of showings. Yep. There's going to be multiple offers.
Yep.
It is a nightmare for the buyer, the seller, the listing agent, and the buyer's agent. Here's some tips on how you can survive the chaos.
Yeah, we pulled this from Ganayar. There was a...
Boom, number 5.
There was a nice... Whatever. There was a nice back and forth about this, and Craig and I literally had like a huge argument over this yesterday, so this should be good.
Huge argument, because we are on different sides. Thus, the boxing gloves, provided John got him on the thumbnail. I'm pretty sure he will.
I'm thinking he will.
Because he's the best.
John is the best.
John's the best. We like John. Okay. Number 5, we're going to say, do your best to attempt to talk to the other agent before you send the offer over.
Dude, don't just email an offer, text, call. Do all 3 forms of communication. Honestly, I would say for most agents, texting is going to be the quickest response. So if you haven't done all 3, you should do all 3 when you're sending in an offer.
And I will say, and here's another thing where I'm going to give you the counterpoint on each one of these. And Nicole can tell you from the buyer's agent standpoint, and I will tell you from the listing agent standpoint, as that's the role we are frequently in. Not to say that either one of us doesn't work the other side also, but here's what I'm saying. 1, don't blow up the listing agent's phone, because if you send me a text and I don't have the answer, I can't respond right away, then you call me and I don't and I send you to voicemail, then you email me, you're just going to irritate the crap out of me. I'm busy too, so are you. I might have 100 agents trying to reach out to me in my new listing I just put on the market. I don't have time to respond to all the, and plus, it's rude to ask. I mean, give someone a reasonable amount of time to respond.
So normally what I do is I call. If the agent doesn't pick up the phone after they call, then I text. And then I've already emailed the offer over, because you have to email the offer. So really it's calling and texting. Honestly, he's old school. I'm newer school. We both know. Everybody knows that. You just get irritated super easy. So
me?
Yeah, like don't call me and try to make sure I get my offer. Would you rather that or somebody just email and never tell you that there's an offer and you're out on showings all day?
Well, no. Well, here's the thing. I do respond. I mean, I believe that's part of being a professional.
Agreed.
If I get, no matter how many offers I get, I'm going to respond to them and say, yes, I received your offer. I think that's a minimum responsibility for a diligent professional agent.
That's awesome, but it's also the buyer's agent responsibility to make sure that the offer was received.
That's correct.
So
that's correct. And that's why I do it, because
I'm not saying call every 3 seconds. Hey, did you get it? Did you get it? Did
you
get it? But I am saying call if they don't answer, text, and you've already emailed the offer over, so that's what you got.
Yeah, I do that. I do that as well. I sent offers in. I just had one really that I didn't like. I sent an offer in on a property that was hot. There was multiple offers. We all knew it. I mean, it was a revolving door basically to get into the property.
Yep.
And I never got a response from that agent that she received the offer. I never got any response that it was presented. I never got anything. The expiration ended, let's just say it was Monday evening at some time. I didn't get a response till Wednesday, where I just got a rejected offer. Now, at least I got that, but I would argue that that was not enough. But I am not pursuing any kind of like ethics. Here's the thing. We have to remember, and that's going to bring us into number 4.
Yeah.
Number 4 is kind of be nice a little bit,
Golden rule.
Think about this. If you represent the buyer, what are you facing when you're out there trying to show a house and let's just say the house is priced in the right price range and, it's in a good location or whatever, it's going to be a frenzy of showings, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I think I've seen both sides. Like I'm at an evening, I were the second people there. I was waiting for my client. Somebody walks in right before us and then locks the door. And it's like, really? You know there's 50 people out here, right? There's no reason to lock the door. Then they go over their showing time, because I know they did, because we had an appointment right after that, and they weren't being, overlapped. Be nice. Like, there's no reason why you can't have a conversation with your buyer. Just be quiet about the house while we're in here. Let's be courteous and let somebody else show it at the same time to keep everybody on task, right? Yeah. I tell my buyers, hey, they're downstairs, we're going to go up, or vice versa. And I give them that conversation before we go in. That's being nice and courteous to other buyers and sellers and other agents. You get the opposite, where the agent, they don't walk out, have any kind of conversation with you or anything. It's super rude, and you're going to remember that.
And don't be telling your clients too, oh, this jerk agent won't respond. All that makes us look not professional. I mean, you really got to have some professionalism, and we'll get to that, because I think number one, we'll touch on that a little bit more. Yeah. So I'll leave that there for now. And here's one where Nicole and I are going to fight.
Yeah.
And I love it.
This is the boxing gloves one for sure.
And here's the thing. All right, before we even get to this one, post in the comments. What do you guys do? I mean, do you, if you're not getting a response from the other agent, what do you do? And be careful what you say too, by the way.
Yeah.
And anyway, like we always say, if something we say is different than what your managing broker trains you or tells you, always listen to what your managing broker says. Yep. If they have any objection to anything that we say, they can post it in the comments below.
We're here to give you advice. We're not here to be your managing broker.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah. Okay. But common courtesy, I think, is important. And I think the faster the market moves, the more people kind of get into the real estate industry, and the faster common courtesy kind of leaves, because a lot of newer people to the business and newer licensees, they might not know all these courtesies. Yeah. And quite frankly, some old models, like she says, I'm old school. She's right. Some of those old ways need to be updated. So I'm not right all the time, and I understand that.
Well, I want to say number 3, though, because we got in a huge fight about this yesterday.
Yes.
He would not back down. I would not back down.
Not backing down.
It is what it is. So give a reasonable amount of time to respond to offers, right? His version of reasonable time versus mine is totally different.
No, I say 24, no more than, or no less than 24 hours, and no more than 48 hours, unless it's a holiday weekend or something.
So I think some of the agents I've seen that have been listing homes have been giving a good base in the agent remarks. Hey, the seller's not looking at offers till Monday at X time, right? The problem is, and it's Friday. So now you know that you're up against whatever, right? It is what it is. They're not doing it. Now, remember, just because it says that in the agent remarks doesn't mean that the seller can't change their mind. And that's part of the problem with some stuff that's going on here, right? So, but if you're saying, hey, the seller's going to look at this Monday at 8, you need to look at it at Monday at 8.
Well, hold on. I wouldn't say it like that, because there is a part of the code of ethics for the National Association of Realtors is if we're going to put in the MLS that we're going to answer all offers, let's say Monday after 6 p.m., that's an advertise. You are advertising that to other agents. If you go then take an offer before that, that is a willful misrepresentation. So I would argue
that. But what do you do if the seller changes their mind?
Well, then you would need to change. You would need to go in there and let all those other agents know. You would have to do that. Okay. So if they post that on there and you put that in the MLS, check with your managing broker, but that could be considered a willful misrepresentation, and Lord help you if it's your office that gets the winning bid.
So what happens if, in that instance, if they don't respond by that time? So offers
if your seller doesn't respond?
Yeah.
Well, that would be a weird thing.
Tuesday?
I mean, well, that would be it would be a weird thing for you to say, we're not going to answer any offers till Monday after 6, and then you don't answer them. That's weird.
Well, and that's the thing. That's happening.
I've never heard that where people don't get a response.
That just happened to us this week.
Well, that example I said, the offer expired Monday evening. I didn't get a notification till Wednesday that I didn't get it.
And that's part of why we're doing the show, guys. I know the listing agents are busy. I get that. Us as buyer's agent are frustrated on our end because the inventory is low. But you guys as listing agents on the other end, don't put a timeline in your listing that you're not going to stick to. So if you say the seller is going to look at stuff after 8 on a Monday, you should be responding to all those offers after that when the seller decides, not waiting until the next day or the night after that to do that, because everybody has that expectation. So set yourself an expectation. If you're saying Monday at 8, you're working till 10, 11 o'clock to do that at night. Give yourself a break and do 10 a.m. the next day so that it can be during your work day versus you sitting there all night doing net sheets and contacting all the agents.
Okay. Now, let's get to the part where we're going to fight about this. And here's what it is. I see a trend of a lot of agents that represent buyers submitting offers with very short consideration times. That's fine. But if I don't have enough time to get that in front of my client where they can make an intelligent decision and they don't want to ask for more time, like it's just because a buyer's agent says, hey, you have 3 hours to answer this offer, that doesn't mean that my seller has the ability to drop everything and respond to that offer in that short amount of time. So it's one of those things, and we'll talk about it again. Number one, I think you're setting poor expectations, and if you tell that to your client, I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, where you're doing your client a disservice at that point. But we'll get a little bit more on that. Number one, you give the clients the choice, right? And this is where I do less than 24 hours. Before the inventory got super, super bad like it is right now, we started shortening time frames and stuff because, as we all know, the longer you leave your lead time, the more offers they can get and the more showings they are, So your buyer has to decide. Why do you stop there? Why do you give them 3 hours? Give them 1 hour. Why not give them 10 minutes? Why stop there? But I don't give them 3 hours. That's where you have that misconception or whatever it is. It depends upon what time of day it is. If it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I might give them till 10 the next morning. Whatever it is, it just depends upon what part of the day it is. I did an offer for myself and I didn't even do 24 hours. And I got the property. So it really is up to your buyer. Give them the pluses and minuses and let them decide. It's not the agent's decision to make. Let them know you might tick off the seller or the agent. But remember, we're supposed to not be emotional. You're not supposed to get angry about a short time frame. You're not supposed to put your own personal spin on it. So that's why we're arguing back and forth. We have to do things our clients want us to do all the time that we don't, whatever. They may ask your opinion, you may tell them, and we both know sellers and buyers make different decisions than what we advise them on every single day. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying anything if that's what the client wants to do. Obviously, I'm telling you, because there's a lot of things that a lot of times the client doesn't understand where this would be good or bad. But I look at it from a standpoint as everyone has other clients. Very rarely are we just working with one person. And that's not true with newer agents or agents that haven't been in the business long. I mean, you know what I'm saying? No, but what I'm saying is just because someone gives you an offer and gives you a really short... Now I will say this, like let's say I have a listing, it's been on the market for a while, I know my seller's very responsive, I get an offer, and now the agent calls me and says, hey, Craig, I'm going to submit an offer. How fast can you get an answer? And I know I just talked to my seller. My seller's available. I say, I can give you an offer. I can get you an answer in an hour. And let's say I have no other showings. I have no reason to expect another offer coming in. But you have to remember, too, a listing agent, part of what they're doing is trying to get the best value for their customer. So if they have other showings scheduled, which is very often the case, to me, it's just short-sighted to think that they're going to be like, okay, we've got 47 showings lined up, but you gave me an offer with 3 hours. Okay, I'm just going to cancel all the other showings and accept your offer because it's the only one I have. No, I'm going to say, give me an extension for 3 days, and provided that's what my client wants to do. I was just going to say, I don't make any choices. You let your client decide. Yeah. Did it tick the client off? Are they okay with doing it? What is their motivation for moving? All of that stuff goes into this reasonable amount of time. Who says a reasonable amount of time is 24 hours? There's agents out there that think 72 hours is reasonable. And that's true in this market. I have seen agents that have said, no, 3 days. Like, I'm not working on weekends, or I'm at a softball game or whatever. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating in that aspect because we don't use lawyers in Indiana. We don't do that stuff. Do you know what I mean? And so who's to say what a reasonable amount of time is? I would agree. I mean, the clients automatically would decide. And the only reason why I say a minimum of 24 hours is most listing agents have other things going on. They're dealing with a bunch of offers. They're dealing with a bunch of other properties they're trying to get on the market, all those types of things. So I think it's very subjective. Or objective. Dude, if I get an offer, that's going to the top of my pile. Oh, sure. It's not going to sit there and be like, well, I got to get this other house on the market. No. So if you are working and putting in the hours like you're supposed to be, this is my thought on, yes, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if you have to have a house or whatever. If you're that big of an agent, you have people to help you. So if you're a regular agent, you've got a couple properties at the same time, you can handle 2 listings plus getting an offer on a listing. And bonus tip, I will tell you, a veteran mistake is putting 3 houses that are all priced good in like hot areas on the market on like a Thursday and expecting to have a weekend.
Yeah. Not happening.
Not happening. So, okay. So ask your managing broker, ask your client what they think is a reasonable amount of time. But anyway, okay. So let's move on to number 2. Let's say you did it. You sent the offer in, your client gave what your client considers a reasonable amount of time, all that kind of stuff, and you still get no communication from the listing agent, which does happen. I think and again, I'm pretty sure it violates code of ethics. I forgot what standard of practice that it talks to, but you do have the responsibility to respond to other agents, offers and things like that. You have a duty, we can never force a seller to sign something. That's why I think one of the dumbest forms that ever came out was last year, and it was the form that the agent signs a thing that says, I presented your offer to my client.
See, and I was just going to say that was a good form, because when you can't get a seller to sign off on a rejection, at least you have something in paper that agent's putting their reputation on the line, that they did send that to their seller.
It doesn't change reality. The agent can sign it themselves. It doesn't matter.
Well, no,
it's just forcing another person to do something.
The agent?
Yeah.
The agent signs it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
If you can't
Why
get
do
the
I
seller
want
to
that?
sign it, if you can't get the seller to sign the rejection, which we all know that's paperwork when you reject an offer.
I don't do it often. I mean, I don't do it unless the agent asks me for it.
But we should. We all know it's either accepted or rejected, and that's what that line is for at the bottom. We should not be not doing that. So if you can't get the seller to sign, you should be signing the other paper saying you did present the offer.
Well, talk to your managing broker. I don't think we can make a statement saying you should reject all offers that are rejected. If the seller chooses not to sign it, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's not valid if it's not in writing in Indiana.
Right. Well, but the offer expires your offer expires after 8 minutes. And then that offer is no longer valid.
But
then I don't have to sign a rejection because, my seller didn't want to. Now, I'm bound by license law to present that to my seller.
Sure.
So, but I always have email, I always cover my tracks. Like I email it to my client. I know my client got it, but just because you want it signed by them doesn't mean my seller has to do anything.
But let's put it in another shoe. You have a buyer on the buyer's agent side. This is their 11th offer. And that's the truth in this market right now. They got beat out again. They want to make sure that their offer has been sent over, and they don't know the other agent. They don't know the other seller. You as a buyer's agent, like as listing agents, you guys should be helping us retain our clients because it's the nice thing and the right thing to do, right?
It's just tough when you get, I've heard agents getting like 30 offers on a listing, and I mean, that's a lot of work, even just to coordinate and remember which one represented this buyer, who does this rejection need to go to, who does this one need to go to,
but then,
and even setting all that up in zip forms, it'll take 3 days to set it all up.
That's not true. If you get all you have to do is print out one ending print out the page 8 of every single one and a net sheet. You have to do 30 net sheets anyway if you get 30 offers.
Why do you
because you should be doing a net sheet with every single offer you get.
It's not something you have to do, but yeah,
But you should be, so your client can.
Well, first of all, if I get a full price
offers,
offer with most of them are right now or better. I mean,
but
the net sheet's already filled out from my listing contract.
You have escalations, you have closing costs, you have home warranties, you have all kinds of things that people going overpriced for closing costs. You should be doing a net sheet because for even yourself to keep it in track, because otherwise you could be making a mistake and you could have another offer that's net over whatever. So,
but again, if you're not getting a response from that agent, escalate to management. That's what I always say. Unfortunately, if you feel like you have not, like let's say, like Nicole said, and that's a fair argument. If you're representing a buyer that submitted an offer on this, and maybe the buyer's frustrated because they've lost a bunch of houses, things like that. One, I would argue they probably need to change up their game plan, either look in a lower price range or something along those lines. Because if they write 11 offers and they don't get it.
Joanne just had a $576,000
Let's not use
house.
any real names.
Okay, nobody knows who that is. And they offered on a house, 9 cash offers on that house, 9 on a $576,000 house. That doesn't necessarily mean they need to change their offer up, but good Lord, people, the competition is just here. You know what I'm
fierce.
saying? So it doesn't necessarily, I've heard of offers being tied and other things like that. You know what I mean? So
well, and here's the thing.
It's difficult.
No one has the ability to force someone. We can't force our sellers to sign a document that they don't want to sign.
I agree.
We can't force another agent to respond to us the way we want them. True. I even saw like they were talking about feedback on agents not submitting feedback. I believe that should be a professional 101. You should do feedback. But a lot of agents don't agree with me, and I respect their opinion too. I disagree with them respectfully, but I don't care. I believe I'm right. I mean, that's the way I was trained. I think it's a common courtesy to other realtors. If someone's going to ask me for that, I'm going to supply them with that. Okay, so escalate to management. Get your managing broker involved. Let your managing broker do some of they're there to protect you and help you and your clients. Sometimes you got to escalate to management. But I'll tell you this, sometimes it'll burn you. One of the hardest things to keep in this business is a positive reputation. Yeah. And if you're gonna start bashing other agents for not responding, or you're gonna talk bad about them, or you're gonna go to their managing broker, with something minor,
which we can't bash other agents or talk bad about them.
Right.
Remember?
But if you're gonna do that, but I see a lot of it, even in Facebook, I see it. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna get busted eventually. But let your manager do that. And you got to remember, the manager's job is to sit there and really work things out with the other side and work together. If that poor agent that let's say they put 3 offers on the market, who knows? And here's the thing too, we are still in a pandemic. Someone could be in the hospital. Someone could have contracted coronavirus or COVID. And so it might be something legit. Someone could have gotten a car accident. So we have to be a little bit more, we got to give people the benefit of the doubt sometimes.
We do need to be human, don't get me wrong, but if everybody just did the basics of like do unto others as you would have done unto you, would you like a rejection, to show that the offer is presented? Yeah, I kind of do,
Yeah.
I don't want to be left in the lurch. Freaking just email me. I don't even care about the paperwork. Just put it in writing that the offer was rejected. So then that way I can forward it to my buyer. Like that's all I care about. I don't want you to call me and tell me that. Just email it to me.
Yep.
Email me, respond to my email. Offer was rejected, great. But at least I have something in writing to show my buyer so that they're not mistrusting me like I didn't do my job.
Yep. Excellent. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to our number one topic. And here's something, and this is something I think is like sales 101. Everyone needs to do this. You need to properly set expectations with your customer. If you represent a seller and they want to put, a house in the market on a Thursday, let's say, and you tell them, hey, look, you're going to have a real rough weekend. You might as well just get lost for the weekend because it's going to be nonstop showings or whatever the case is. As long as you set that, because here's what happens a lot of times. Customers get angry when expectations aren't met. Yep. So and this is why I argue with her, especially about the low times, because here's a deal that we had, that this was a real life thing that happened. I got an offer. It was on a Friday evening. My sellers were already out for the evening.
Wait, what time was it?
Hold on. Again, we can't use too many specific because
nobody's going to know
on
what
an
time
offer,
it was.
right? But an offer, it's confidential, so we have to be careful when we talk about certain things.
Names. What time did you get it?
Let's say I got it at 5 p.m.
Okay.
And it expired at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. So I had a little over 12 hours. 12 plus 4. What is that? 16 hours. Mm-hmm. And most of it is in the evening, sleeping time, so to speak.
It's not sleeping time. What are you, a grandpa?
From 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. on a Friday night, Saturday morning. Yeah, I think a lot of that is sleeping time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's what we had. The offer came in. My seller did not have the time to even answer it in that time. They didn't answer it. So what am I to do? They didn't respond. I did reach out to that agent. I texted the agent and said, hey, I'm not going to be able to get a response for you. Is that okay? And the agent said, yeah, that's fine. Just let me know when you have one. I texted that agent around noon that Saturday morning and said, hey, we're going to be answering your offer. And they text me back, nope, my client was pissed off that they didn't get a response by 10 a.m., so they decided to go look elsewhere. I said, okay.
It's buyer's prerogative.
Yeah, it is the buyer's prerogative. I'm not saying that the agent, but here's the thing. The agent said that my buyer is pissed off. The only reason that buyer would be pissed off if that agent told the buyer, set the expectation, they're going to have an answer by 9 a.m. That's in my opinion, that is an unreasonable amount of time. My seller didn't have the answer, didn't have it. And quite frankly, the offer was slightly better than the one the seller ended up taking. So my seller would have taken their offer.
But the problem with that is that's your idea of reasonable expectation. And the agent can't control if the buyer is ticked off or not about not getting the timeline. And that doesn't mean that the agent set that expectation. That just means that that was the time the buyer chose that they wanted a response. And so they were the type of client that said, fine, if you don't want to respond during the time frame we set, then we're going to move on. And that was it.
Well, and you know what? You're right. And I'm a little bit wrong because what I should have done is I should have issued an amendment or a request for more time. I should have asked for an extension of more time, and I did not. I texted the agent and told them we couldn't answer by that time. The agent said it was okay, but us agents cannot speak for our clients.
Right.
So,
and that, maybe if they had gotten it in paperwork, it would have been different, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But I don't feel comfortable with getting an offer after my expired time frame without that extra time on there, because technically the buyer's out of contract. So,
well, I just think it's naive to think that just because I put a short amount of time on there, that the other, the seller's going to be like, oh, they only gave us 2 minutes. Okay, well, I better stop everything I'm doing right now. You know what? I think too, here's a problem. We're in a dominant seller's market.
True.
In my 20 years in this business, I've only seen this for 3 years. It was probably late 2007, early 2008, and then it's the last 2 years. It's never been such a dominant seller's market. For the most part, it's been a buyer's market, and the buyers can do whatever they want. Now it's like weird. It's like sellers are doing whatever they want, and we're running into problems like this that are not normal for our marketplace.
Yeah, and I just think that, again, it's up to the buyer and the seller what they want to do, and if the buyer goes in and they want a shorter time frame, it is what it is. You can't get mad because you think you have to drop everything for an offer. I'm sorry. You check it. If the agent texted you, like, I got an offer for one of my properties at 10 o'clock at night. He texted me and I was in a limited contingency situation. By God, I worked at 10 o'clock at night, dumped the original one because it was contingent upon sale, and took the new one that was firm. I did all that at 10 so that everything was shored up, because guess what? The other offer, they got a purchase agreement on their home, but never sent contingency removal. So that's when those things are time bound and time sensitive. If not, my seller would have been stuck with, like, if I had gotten that paperwork, they would have been stuck with a contingent upon sale property or contingent upon close at that point. So they won because of that.
And I will say too, to piggyback on that, if you don't know every word on those purchase agreement and on the contingency agreements and things like that, because that's one where, in my opinion, that agent did not fully understand the contingency addendum.
Yep.
And
you best read.
You should. God, there's no excuse for that. Nope. So anyway, and here's another thing. And again, in reference to number 4, be nice. I mean, so Nicole and I disagree on a lot of what we were talking about today. But I will tell you this: I still have a lot of professional respect for her. She still runs a great team. They're very, they sell a lot of property, so they're helping a lot of buyers and sellers in Northwest Indiana. I like that. They do a good job, and we all have to work together anyway. This market could flip and be a buyer's market, and my sellers could be begging them for 2 minutes to answer an offer. Like, please, just give us any offer. I don't care. 10 seconds, I'll answer it. Yes. So
I feel like number 1 today should have been be nice, because I think there's a lot of not nice going on right now. And I think we all need to remember that this situation will flip at some point and buyers will become dominant again. And we do need to make sure that we're, keeping our good reputations with our fellow agents, because trust me, you may do positive stuff and not everybody's not going to remember that. But if you do something negative, they're going to remember that from 10 years from now.
Yep. So. They'll remember it forever. And they're going to tell everyone about it.
Exactly.
At least now we don't see it on social media as much anymore, because now it could be an ethics violation. So,
right.
All right. I think that's the show. What do you think?
I do too. I feel like it was a very serious show, though.
It's very serious.
Not a whole lot of joking around.
Not a lot of joking around.
He's all worked up today. I thought for sure we'd be hearing some crazy stuff. Nope. Besides the boxing gloves. I did get to hit him like 5 times with the boxing gloves. It was nice.
She didn't get to. It's assault. I'm waiting for the police to show up.
Yeah. I hit you a lot with the Now that I felt more comfortable with than like kicking you from that one show.
Oh, with with Mike, yeah. Okay. That was a good show. That was a fun show.
Yeah. That was it, guys. I hope you like our new backgrounds, the lion/beach. We were feeling the beach vibe. Definitely.
I wonder what John's I wonder where we're gonna be tomorrow or today. Right now.
Yeah.
I wonder where we are right now.
We were thinking about doing the show live, so we might intersperse some live shows. Let us know if you guys
do it live.
Kind of want some of that back. So.
Yep.
All right.
So thanks everyone for watching. Give us your opinions. This was a good fight show.
It was a good fight show.
Ding, ding, ding. We need a bell, John. John, where's our bell? He knocked on a door. Oh,
I had a bell at home. Had I known, I would
Yeah.
have brought it.
Yeah.
I had a cowbell at home.
cowbell. Oh, jeez.
Ding, 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 ding.
Griffith.
Whatever. All right, guys.
All right, thanks, everyone.
See you next week.
Have
Bye.
a great show. Share it out. Do stuff.
Yeah.